can't 72.
Yeah.
I can't find it after that. And then they say that it's the offset this year budget. This year.
We're recording. We're recording, eh? Okay. I'll call this special regional council meeting to order. Please be advised that today's meeting is available for the public to attend virtually and is being streamed and recorded. Are there any council or CAO additions? Well, can I get a motion, please, to adopt the agenda? Moved by Councillor Andrews, seconded by Councillor Penny. All those in favor? Carried. Budget request, Poplar Hills Golf and Country Club. Josh, welcome.
Good afternoon.
And Louise. And who will be presenting today for the Poplar Hills Golf and Country Club?
I will be.
Okay, Josh, go ahead.
So I guess it's similar to last year and the previous 2 years, we've asked for an operations grant of $110,000. Last year was a fairly good year for us, all things considered. Rounds were up, memberships were up. So we're anticipating the same this year. We're hoping. Louise did a good job last year of taking advantage of the Canadian Summer Jobs Grant, which got us some funding back for employee hires, and a few other grants that helped us improve the decking on the golf course. Anticipating a fairly decent year. We've increased our numbers a bit as far as for fuel costs going up, we're assuming. We did open a second site, which is our simulator building. So we're hoping that can generate some income in the off months that the golf course isn't operating. So far it's been operating fairly. It's been online since November 18th and has been doing well for us. A few hiccups off the start, but we're working through those. So there is a few, we've cut some costs in our accounting. We're going to start doing the bookkeeping in-house. Just didn't feel like we're getting the service for what we were spending. So we're going to try it this way and see how that goes for this year. And then we can make a decision on our future after the season. I don't really have much else. It's and you've seen the financials. I guess it was a decent year last year for us.
So the golf simulator, you said it's been a success for you. So it's generating revenue for the golf course then?
Yeah, it's starting to. It was like any business startup. It's you're not going to make money right off the bat, but we've the hours of use have certainly increased in the last month now that people are kind of aware it's there and are starting to utilize it. And we're in the process of the liquor license has taken longer than we anticipated, but we're found out this morning we're 13th in the queue for it to get looked at and approved. So once it's in place, that'll certainly increase revenue.
And are you anticipating that this will also produce revenue in the summer when the golf course is open?
It'll be open 12 months a year. I don't know how busy it'll be in the summer, but we have negotiated a rent reduction in our summer months. So the cost of being there is about half the price as it is in the winter months. So that should help us.
Councillors, does anyone else have any questions? Well, that was short and sweet. Mr. Barry, any comments, please? Oh, sorry, Councillor Gerwin, go ahead.
Hi, so
congratulations on the golf simulator. How exciting. I'm not a golfer, but I did go in and check it out. So people seem to be enjoying it. And I really like the initiative that the golf course has taken to provide another service to the community. So my congratulations on that. I have a few questions on the balance sheet. The first one I have is the COVID loan is showing as a $60,000 liability. Are you anticipating that that $60,000 is going to be forgiven by the federal government?
No, we will have the funds to pay that back. We are due to us a $50,000 NDIT grant. That was part of the work we did this summer, that the check has been cut. We just haven't received it yet. So we will have the funds to pay that back. It's due at I believe the end of this year for all that, for the COVID grants.
Yeah, so I'm sure you guys are checking into it, but what I'm hearing is that the federal government might be offering some relief on that payback. So I'm sure you're following that. And then my other question is around, so again, it's on the balance sheet and internally restricted invested in capital assets, $959,328. And then fund balance, it goes on for $1,015,000 or $1,138,000. Can you define that for me? What is included in that?
Well, that one's always been a,
is it equipment?
yeah, it's always been a bit of a question mark for me. I believe it incorporates all the equipment and buildings out there, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, I just, there's just some question on like what asset, like who owns the asset? Is it the municipality's asset? Is it your not-for-profit asset? So I guess I would ask that question. I'm sure staff will come up with some sort of an answer after they've researched all of that.
Yeah, and to my knowledge, once the golf course, once Terry was stepped down, the golf course itself paid for the carts that were existing out there. But as far as, and I don't know, I've only been on the board for 6-7 years or so. We haven't had a newer mower or anything show up since I've been there, so I'm not sure how those were purchased in the past. So I'm not sure what lies with the golf course and what lies with the fleet of the town. But as far as what the golf course owns, I think is just the carts themselves. As far as like the buildings and land and all that would be a town asset, as far as I understand.
Okay, as I remember it, the golf course came to the town to provide funds to purchase all of that, but I mean, we might have a historical look at that too. So I guess, like, I really am trying to get to, none of this is cash in a bank somewhere. This is all assets, whether it's the municipality's assets or the golf course's asset. There isn't cash.
No,
Okay.
That would be.
Thank you.
Yep.
Are there any other questions? Mr. Barry, did you want to speak to the assets in the?
Yeah, sure. Well, specifically what we're going to do is myself and Aaron and Treasury are going to sit and just kind of review these documents. Obviously, we have a plan moving forward with the community groups to hopefully create some of a consistent approach in terms of the way that the documents are presented and information presented. Council, I mean, what you're looking at is a financial document here, which is typical, but at the same time, there's been some inconsistencies in the past, especially if you go years back. And as Josh mentioned, specific to what was purchased by who, if it was the golf course, because back in the day when the golf course was a little busier, when the town was a little busier, there was less contribution of funds from the municipality too at the time. And there was also less, say, communication regarding what was purchased or not at the time. So it's just to kind of hit the reset button and have an understanding of what that looks like moving forward and create some consistency with all the community groups. groups for that matter, and then provide some guidance for council's bigger concern here, or concern or question is, to Councilor Grewing's point is, is there any cash in the bank and whatnot versus what assets? We don't see what assets are listed here, and we're aware that there was golf carts in the past and various equipment that was purchased through the golf course that they might be listing on the books as their assets, for example. We know the clubhouse is a municipal asset. We know the course itself is a municipal asset. But there's other stuff that we need to follow up on too, just to get that clear. So that the intent is to do that here in the coming days and weeks.
Okay, thank you. And to Councilor Goering's point, I think it is very important that we understand and have some consistency in how these organizations put this in their financial statements, because the clubhouse, every asset that the golf course has belongs to the municipality. And if it appears on the balance sheet, we should have some consistency so we know what we're looking at, that these are assets that are owned by the municipality, but it's on Poplar Hill's balance sheet because they're looking after it for us. Mr. Bostock, the CERB loan for $60,000, is my understanding that in 2021, what the acceptable accounting practices was to declare the $20,000 as income because the organizations were going to repay $40,000 to the federal government and have the opportunity to keep the $20,000. So I'm not sure if that's the way the golf course is handling it, and I know it's a little different. It's a nonprofit, but that's what I understand.
Okay, we'll have to follow up with that one.
Councillor Penny.
Just say on my side, I was urged to not use it as income until it's paid back, because it's not actually income until the remaining 40,000 is repaid. Because if for some reason you're late, now that becomes
A liability.
liability. So
Yeah.
up until that year, that's my accounting anyways, has told me to leave
Okay.
it until then.
All right. Are there any more questions for the golf course? Thank you very much for coming today. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Are we ready to proceed to the Phoenix Theater? Do we have anyone here from the Phoenix?
No, the only folks ourselves. They're not due till 12:30.
We want to move on then to the closed meeting. Will that take more than 20 minutes?
It depends on council.
I know.
We can. if
I'm
council
asking for a
wishes,
guess.
And you could, and council, if not finished your discussion, could temporarily adjourn at close to 12:30. And so it's entirely up to council to wish to get into that discussion now.
Very well. I'm going to ask for motion then to move to a closed meeting. Seconder, moved by Councillor Goering, seconded by Councillor Andrews. All those in favor? Carried. Mrs. McIver, is this the appropriate time to rise to report the in-camera music or decision? Very well.
Sorry, I was doing other things. What was the mover and seconder? Lorraine Gerwin and Lorraine Foster.
So the motion was passed, moved by Councillor Gerwing, seconded by Mayor Foster, that council is looking at many possibilities for recruiting and retaining healthcare professionals in the community. Carried unanimously.
Thank you. Do we have a delegation here for the Phoenix Theater?
As we're a little bit early, could we take a couple-minute break?
I'll ask for a motion to temporarily adjourn the special regional council meeting. Moved by Councillor Andrews, second by Councillor Penny. All those in favor? Carried, and we are adjourned temporarily. This special regional council meeting back to order again. We have with us today Mr. Stanek, Mark Cripps, and Jen Thompson. Thomas. Welcome. With us today, we have Councillor Goering, Councillor Andrews, Councillor Penny, myself, and our staff. Did you want to go ahead and begin your presentation then with the Phoenix Theatre? I don't think they can hear us.
Can you hear us? Jen? I think they muted us all. Can you hear us in there? Don and Jen, can you hear us? We're trying to see you. Can you hear us now?
Serious.
Do they want to come over?
I believe they're muted. Eh?
Okay, we got
There we go.
There, okay. Yay. I was like,
All
maybe
right.
they just want to come over. Okay, I think
That's
everything's
my technology skills at work there.
okay. Good. We're on track then.
Very well. Mr. Stanek, do you want to begin your presentation then?
Well, I'm not exactly sure. I thought we were going to answer questions. If you had any, we made the submission.
Very well.
Uh,
We can do it that way.
Okay.
Do any of council have any questions for the Phoenix Theatre? Councillor Penny.
Hi there. I'm just, I'm wondering about the surplus from last year. Shows $72,000. Is that including the $60,000 grant from the federal government? Or is the 60,000 separate item?
We were trying to figure that out. I'm not a bookkeeper, but I think it does show up as where is it?
a lot of that surplus pod came from our SUs, which we didn't anticipate having so much SUs as it kept being extended. So a lot of those funds came from our SUs payments. And then with those SUs payments,
Hold it. What are Sue's payments?
Is that your wage subsidy?
that's our wage subsidy, sorry, Canadian Employment Wage Subsidy from the government.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So with that, we anticipated making $30,000 or $40,000 from them. We kind of budgeted around that. Things kept being extended, things didn't get open, we were closed longer. We made some cuts in staffing and we lowered our numbers to try to make budget, and we ended up over with the help of the government, which we no longer have.
So it does, Todd, if you were looking at the $72,000 surplus from previous year, if you go further on down, there's a SEBA repayment of 40,000 and a SEBA carry forward of 20. So that's actually a $60,000 revenue there, but it shows up as an expense later on. I don't know what your page numbers are, but on the next page,
Yeah, so this expense here. So there with that, it would show that they're actually in the negative then, right? Total revenues. The standardizing this to dumb it down for council would be great.
Mhm.
Here, there was that 40 as a liability,
Mhm.
and then that 20 is listed as, yeah, so that balance is that 40, and then that 20 is gonna be listed as. From revenue.
Okay. Yeah, you go.
Counselor Gerber, go ahead.
Hi, I have a question on the income statement. So I have two questions. First, on page 22, I guess of 24, income statement, January 1st of 2021 to December 31st of 2021. It says that the NRM's funding was 145,500. Is that accurate? Because on our green sheets, it says that we budgeted for 178,500. Now, I understand that that's not actual amount, but do we know whether we ended up providing less funding or?
We don't have that sheet. Lorraine.
Lorraine, so that's for 2021.
What sheet are we looking at? Are you looking at that we don't have?
The income statement or our sheet? Like, you have your income statement there?
No.
The one you
don't think-
the one you provided to the municipality?
Don't have a balance. Oh, yeah, comparative income.
Oh,
Hold on here.
okay,
2021, right? Okay.
okay.
But this is not a little different than yours. Because no, ours says no, whatever.
Both
it is,
sides.
So what is?
Jen, it's Erin.
Yeah,
I just sent
Okay,
you
good.
a picture of it.
I got it now. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so 2021, 178.
Yeah.
Where is she seeing the one actual?
I can't read that.
So Aaron, when you're looking at it, the 2021, the 178.5, what number are we missing here?
So I'm just thinking that maybe we'll just provide these questions to you and then you guys can go through your papers and then you won't feel like you're so much on the spot. It's not my intent. So don't intend to make anybody feel uncomfortable with the process. I do have two questions, but I'm more than willing to just write them out and give you time to respond.
So information we're getting back is the difference might be the rent process that happens in the background, because that doesn't show up. But what we'll
Yeah,
do
because I
is-
thought they didn't have a rent payment to us.
Well, and it's a financial process in the background, right? So what we'll do is we'll meet internally, discuss some of the questions that you have and sort through some of the documents here so that we can provide some I'll call it
Answers, okay.
simpler information for council to be able to process. Because obviously it's difficult to dig through a financial statement when there's information that's occurring in the background that you're not aware of course,
Yep.
from a financial
Yeah.
perspective. So it's not just a matter of taking one number and deducting the other one. when there's one that you don't see that's occurring in the background.
Yeah, and I really don't want to put any organization on the
Yeah,
spot
we
with
don't
my questions, so I appreciate an alternative process. Thanks.
So what we'll do, like I said, is we're gonna meet as a group and pull the various organizations together, as I mentioned earlier, and we'll sort through those numbers and flag anything that might be an inconsistency or somewhere where the math doesn't work because the numbers don't necessarily show up there.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate your time today, and we'll get back to you here with some of our questions. And it'll be in a format that you can take some time to answer them. Thank you.
Appreciate
Okay.
that. Scott, just a question for you.
Okay.
With what you were just saying, because if I recall correctly, we do have maybe not like a lease fee per se, because that's low, but our lights and our heat and everything come out of our funding, correct?
That's 30.
Yes, yeah, it's $32,000 or $33,000, I think, when you do the math. But again, it's not showing up on your income statement, of course. And when we do the contribution, the total contribution is correct that you're seeing, council, on your green sheet, but it doesn't reflect the different sets. Some of the math that occurs in the background from a financial perspective. So bottom line is we need to show you what that number looks like. So you can, if you want to do the math, you can do it.
All right, then. So I realize that you guys are wanting to get this all done soon. So as soon as we get something, we'll sit down together and get it back to you as soon as we can.
Thank you, Mr. Stanek. Appreciate that.
All right.
Council. If there's nothing else then, council, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn the special regional council meeting. Moved by Councillor Gerwing, seconded by Councillor Penny. All those in favor? We are adjourned.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Let me get rid of this now.